This is the first video I'm making since I've cut my hair recently. I hope it looks good on camera. I gotta work on styling it up over time. But anyways, let's get into the video. Let's talk about Superman and the Fantastic Four First Steps, which are two of the most highly anticipated films of 2025. That being because Superman is the start of the new DC universe headed by James Gunn, and the Fantastic Four is the introduction of the Fantastic Four into the MCU and their long awaited return to the big screen, and just to see how they'll take the MCU into a new direction amidst what people are calling mediocrity in the MCU within the past few years. And I'm glad to say that both of these films are really damn good. I had a blast with both of these films. I've seen them twice, and I really want to watch them a third time because I just had a blast with both of these films. So let's start off with Superman, directed by James Gunn. It tells a story about how Clark Kent, who has recently become Superman within the past few years in this universe, amidst there being metahumans already established in this world, he has to face off against Lex Luthor, who has just the biggest hate boner for Superman and metahumans, amidst there being two countries fighting against each other in this world, that being Baravia and Jarhanpur. And you can take that as what you will, being Russia taking on Ukraine or Israel taking on Palestine, any big country taking on a little country. That's a real world application you could take that as. And I'll touch more on that in a bit, but I want to talk about a lot of the aspects I really enjoyed about Superman. Let's talk about the cast. I think the cast is great all around, with the standout being Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor. He just plays this pompous, not pompous, but more so stuck up. Not really stuck up. God, what am I trying to look for? He's just a dick, right? Lex Luthor in this film is a dick, but he's funny as hell, and Nicholas Holt's great. He was last in Nosferatu, if I remember correctly. He's great in that, and he's awesome in this. You know, we need that dickish energy, especially with Jesse Eisenberg's portrayal of Lex Luthor in the DC Snyderverse. An interesting take, I'll say. I don't hate it. It's just interesting. But here, I imagine this is what Lex Luthor was in the comics and some of the animated series and whatnot. I'm not ultra familiar with comics and whatnot. Only what I know from the few episodes of certain animated series I've seen. But I can confidently look at this and say this is Lex Luthor. He's just a dick who hates Superman, and it's really funny to see. And of course, David Cornsweet as Clark and Superman. He's awesome. I totally bought him as this sort of nerdy guy who's just your sort of average Joe who can just transform himself into Superman with his voice change and how he carries himself and whatnot. He's great. And for the most part, David Cornsweet is in the suit throughout most of the film, much like how Robert Pattinson was in the Batman suit for most of the Batman. I really think David Cornsweet is in the Superman suit for a majority of this film, and I think it's really cool. He's so hopeful and jovial and funny and lighthearted, and he's serious when he needs to be serious, and I totally bought him in the role. And I love Henry Cavill as Superman. I like that take, but this is Superman right here. This is, from what I know from certain comic arcs I've heard of, and just what I've heard from other people, and of course seeing certain parts of the animated series of Superman and Justice League and what have you, this is Superman. This is, the hopeful, lighthearted, helpful, loving Superman. I totally bought it. I love his portrayal, and I can't wait to see more of it in the future. And he's just a good guy. He just wants to do good things and help people and be a good person, Something I think everyone should strive towards, being a good person, Don't be a dick like Lex Luthor. Be Superman. Wake up, do your best to put one foot in front of the other to be a good person and help others. I think the film really hammers home that idea throughout the majority of the runtime, especially when it comes to the conflict between Baravia and Jarnpur. I want to touch more on that later. I just want to talk about the rest of the aspects I like in the film. Rachel Brosnahan as Lois, she's really cool. And I like Amy Adams as Lois Lane, but she really didn't have a whole lot to do in those movies. And, great actress, she just didn't have a whole lot to do. And, as much as I like her in those movies, she's not the best parts. Rachel Brosnahan steals a lot of these moments in this film. And I think the best part of the film, outside of the cool action stuff, is this conversation between Clark and Lois talking about, the actions of Superman. She's interviewing Clark as Superman, and they get into a pretty heated discussion about how Superman inserts himself into situations, and if it's the right thing to do or not. Superman just says that people were going to die and he had to step in no matter what. And that little conflict between them is shown throughout the film, and it gives Lois more to do in the film, trying to figure out Lex's angle as he's trying to fuck with Superman, as well as what his role is with the takeover of Jarnpur and his associations with Baravia. And much like how in Batman v Superman, we kind of know what Lex's angle is, and we kind of know what Lois is trying to do, trying to figure out what's going on with Lex. We know what's going to happen in both of these films. But there's a little added twist here with Lex's angle that I thought was kind of cool. And it just gives Lois a little more to do in this film, because she also inserts herself in trying to, associate herself with the superhero characters and try to save Clark in a few instances. And it just gives Lois more to do, and it just gives her more of a character. And that's what I like about James Gunn. He gives all these characters something to do, and they all have fun stuff to do. Okay, I think the standout, aside from Nicholas Hoult in this film, and I think it's a lot of people's favorite part in the film, is Eddie Gathegi as the goddamn Mr. Terrific. He's fucking cool in this film, okay? He has a pretty light-hearted and sort of goofy outfit. And yeah, he has the like, it looks like his face is taped to look like a T. But damn it, is he so fun and enjoyable to watch. I think I went to see this film for a second time just to see his standout action scene, which is a oneer. And it's, I love the song choice in that scene. And it's just so damn cool. I love to see how Mr. Terrific can use his T-spheres and him being in his floating chair and whatnot. And it's just so damn cool to see. He's like, I think, the coolest part of the film. And Mr. Terrific just kind of steals the show for a lot of the scenes in the film. Let's talk about the score for a bit, composed by John Murphy and David Fleming. I really dug the score for this film. And a lot of people have an issue with the John Williams original score for the original Superman film being used and reused in this film. I don't mind it one bit, just because it has a new tone to it and it totally fits the vibe of this film. Sort of like an extremely hopeful tone. Like, yeah, we can rise up and be a good person. And it's just so damn cool. The way it's incorporated throughout the film as a leitmotif, how there's different instrumentations of it throughout the film. It's kick-ass. And a lot of the score is really exciting and fun. I just really dug the score. I've listened to it a few times over the past few weeks. I think it's really cool. I'm sorry, I'm just looking up the different composers. I'm not sure a whole lot what these composers have done. I know that John Murphy did Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which has some pretty good pieces in it. Also, The Suicide Squad. I don't remember a whole lot of the score from that film because it's been quite a while since I've seen it. There's fun moments, there's tense moments, and there's some pretty sweet moments, especially when it's involving Lois and Clark. So yeah, great score. I want to keep listening to it more because there's a lot of cool moments in it. Henry Braum is the cinematographer for the film, who's worked with James Gunn on basically every film since Guardians 2, that being Guardians 2, 3, and The Suicide Squad. And he also was a cinematographer for The Flash, which is interesting because it is a pretty good looking film, except for the weird CG moments. But yeah, this film looks really damn good. I think the lighting is great. I love the color palette when we're in the Daily Planet scenes, and it's just a very colorful film. You can see the colors. You can see the red and the blue on Superman. It's not washed out. It doesn't have the realistic look of the Snyder movies or the more drab and dreary look of the Snyder films. You can see the damn colors. It's so cool. You can see, you can just see. You don't have to like, squint, and I just love how colorful this movie is because I don't think Superman is the perfect character to make a dreary looking film because Superman has to be hopeful. You need these colors to pop out. I think the CGI in this film is really, really damn good. It's quite impressive. And there's a few moments, especially with the Ultraman character when he's walking. You can tell, like when he's flying, it's CG, but he lands and he's walking. I'm thinking, is that real? Did they like actually get a guy in a suit to drop down and then start walking? I was really trying to figure out if it's real or not. And if it's CG, it's really damn good CG. If it's not, then hey, great on the fucking costume department because all the costumes here look really cool. And I get it. People have some criticisms with the MCU lines, but they're being just like kind of random lines everywhere. But I think it looks all cool all around with all the characters here. And yeah, my favorite aspect of all of these superhero films is the action. And of course, the action of this film is fantastic. It's really fun and imaginative. There's a lot of interesting sequences where characters use their powers in a very unique way. And so all these other characters have to kind of traverse their way around not only the setting that they're in, but also what power these other characters can use. Like there's this character called the Engineer who has these sort of nano bots on her, and she can just rearrange her body to throw a bunch of different objects at people, like saw blades and swords and what have you. And so it's really cool how they incorporate that into the fight scenes, especially with Superman. And I love seeing Superman struggle. I don't like seeing Superman be an all-powerful god. I mean, of course, it's cool to see him just beat the shit out of people like in Man of Steel. But it's just kind of boring when he's just fighting other Supermen or other people who just kind of have his power, or the Kryptonians, basically. In this film, he's struggling against the Engineer and Ultraman. And there's some revelation about Ultraman that I wasn't sure because I'm not a comic person, really. But it makes sense why he struggles against Ultraman. And it's just really fun to see Superman struggle. I like to see my heroes struggle. I don't want to see them just be an all-powerful god who can destroy everyone in their path, or they just have to fight someone who's just an evil version of themselves. It's boring. It's cool to see Superman struggle against other people. Like he fights a kaiju in this film, and he's doing his best to not destroy the area around him to defeat the kaiju. He's trying to subdue it without killing it, basically. It's really cool. That's Superman. He does his best to keep the peace and not destroy as much property as possible. And he saves little girls and squirrels. And he does his best to, reduce the damage to the surrounding areas. That's Superman. I fucking love this film, okay? And I love Superman in this movie. He's just such a hopeful, jovial, lighthearted, trustworthy character. And he's just a good guy. All right, I think I've said all I could say about like the production, how good it looks, the CGI, the action scenes, the cast. Oh, one more thing. Krypto. Krypto steals the show. He's like one of the funniest parts of the film. And there's a funny line in the film where Superman has to save Krypto. Lois goes, "You have a dog?" He says, "He's not even a good dog at that, but he's scared and I have to save him." And he does. And I love the bond that Superman and Krypto have. Krypto is just kind of an asshole. He's just a funny dog who wants to just wreck things around him. And Superman has to take care of him because he belongs to Kara, Supergirl. And I love the bond that they have throughout the film, and how Superman just kind of pissed off and fed up with Krypto, but he has to tolerate him. And the way Krypto interacts with other characters in the film is just really damn funny. And the CG on Krypto is really good and detailed, although it's noticeable that it's CG because dogs don't move around like that. Of course, dogs can't fly, but especially when it's like Krypto kind of leaping back and forth, I'm like, yeah, that's CG, but it's really good CG. It's noticeable, but it's really good CG, I can tell. Okay, now I want to talk about like the biggest talking point of the film, that being Boravia versus Jarnper, because it's basically a stand-in for Ukraine and Russia and Palestine and Israel, because it's a big bad country who's an ally of the United States facing off against and trying to wipe out and take over the land of another country. That being the littler guy, you know? Superman's role is that he understands that there's conflict between those two countries. He understands that one of the countries is an ally to the United States, but he can't stand to see, the little guys, the defenseless people. He can't stand to see people get killed. He doesn't want to see that. So he's going to do what he can. He's going to inject himself. He's going to insert himself into the situation no matter what uproar it causes, because he doesn't want to see people die. I really, really, really enjoy that take, and I really enjoy how that relates to the real world. I just, I fucking hate seeing that stuff on the news, and I wish we didn't see that stuff on the news. And I've said earlier that, like, I think Superman is the film we needed because he's a good person. He does his best to be a good person. And I think a lot of people should look at that to do their best to be good people. And I think a lot of leaders in this world can look at that and say, hey, maybe we don't need to fucking bomb other countries like that. Maybe we could talk it out. Or maybe we do have to stand up to some other asshole countries, It's a lot. And I think it's handled very well. It is messy, countries talking to each other. And I think they even I think there's even a line where they say something like how Jaranpur, isn't like the best country or something. I can't quite remember. But they say something along the lines of, like, they're not all entirely 100% innocent or something along the lines of that, But it's something so brief, but that's not supposed to be the point. The point is the little people, the defenseless people, especially civilians, they can't take the flag. They can't take the heat and all the firepower and damage from these bigger asshole countries. I think that's probably going to be the biggest talking point, especially among right-wing grifters and people calling the film woke and whatnot, who can go fuck themselves because they don't understand how to criticize a film for filmmaking rather than just the message. Like the critical asshole drinker. Fuck him. Sorry, a little off track. But anyways, I mean, I don't know what exactly said on it because I do not care to, watch his videos. I listen to other people watch his videos because I don't want to give him a view. Because, like, I've heard his talking points. I don't give a shit about most of his talking points about criticizing movies. I very much enjoy this film. That's why I saw it twice. I had to see this film again for just the fun of it. It's fun. We needed fun Superman back. I'm so happy we have a fun Superman film back. And this kicks off the DC universe, the new DC universe, in a great way. And I'm excited for what's to come next. James Gunn has done it again. He's just giving us masterpiece after masterpiece of superhero films. I love all the superhero films that I've seen, the MCU and the DC universe. I haven't seen his other films beforehand. I know he wrote Scooby-Doo. We all know he wrote Scooby-Doo. So James Gunn is just awesome. We all love James Gunn. And I'm just excited to see where he takes this universe further. I'm interested about how they're going to incorporate Batman into this more lighthearted universe. But we'll see how that goes. Damn it, I love this film. Superman's awesome. I'm giving Superman an A- as of now. I'd say the only issues I kind of have with it are some dialogue choices where we see Lex control this Ultraman character by giving him phrases and commands to fight Superman. And this one girl goes, wow, it's like Superman's every move before he does it, And this other guy replies, yeah, he's been studying Superman for the past 3 years, And to be in that moment, to be in that area, you should know what Lex is doing. You should know what you're doing. Like, that's what you're doing in that building. You're fighting Superman. You should know that Lex has all these commands to give out. I think it's just to tell rather than show. I mean, they show it and then they explain it by telling it. I don't think we really needed to hear, wow, it's like his every move before he does it. Yeah, that's because he's been studying Superman for the past 3 years, identifying his every move and, coming up with thousands of counter moves or counterattacks. Yeah, like I was able to get that by Lex shouting out commands and seeing the computer screens show what Superman's gonna do and what action is gonna happen based on the command that Lex screams out. Yeah, it's just like small little choices like that that just kind of irk me. But other than that, I think the rest of the film was just fantastic. It was the perfect summer superhero film that we needed. And it was the perfect film to kick off this universe. Just a bright, hopeful Superman film. I just wanted to say there was one shot that, aside from the Mr. Terrific action scene, there's one shot that I needed to come back to see this movie for. It's when, and you see in the trailer, Superman saves a girl from this building falling on her as she's in her car and she drives away. Then he lets the building fall, and then you see his body behind the dust of the building as it's destroyed, as it's fallen down, and the sun is gleaming from behind him, and you see his body just floating. Like, that's what I come to movies for, to see beautiful shots like that. And that whole third act sequence is just fucking awesome. I love it. So yeah. Also, I just wanted to say that I did enjoy the Justice Gang in this film, that being Hawk Girl, played by Isabella Merced, Guy Gardner, the Green Lantern, played by Nathan Fillion, and Mr. Terrific, played by, I'm sorry, I forgot his name, Eddie Gathegi. They're all great. They're really funny. I love their interactions with each other. How they're just like a sort of dysfunctional team, but like they stick together because it's just funny. Isabella Merced's great as Hawk Girl. Nathan Fillion plays this perfect dickish, like I'm the best guy energy. And Mr. Terrific, Eddie Gathegi, he's just fucking cool. Okay, he has a line where he says, "I'm the goddamn Mr. Terrific." God damn it, it's fucking awesome. Okay, I think that's all I wanted to say about Superman. Just the perfect start for the DC universe, I think. I just loved it. Now let's move on to The Fantastic Four First Steps, directed by Matt Shakman, who has experience in the MCU as he directed all 9 episodes of the WandaVision television series. So, this is the start of Phase 6 of the MCU, and it tells a story about how the Fantastic Four must defend the Earth from the ever-threatening doom of Galactus as he vows to consume planet Earth. So they have to figure out a way to either defeat Galactus or save the planet Earth from him. And I had a blast with this film. I loved almost everything about this film. It looks great. I think the pacing for the most part is really damn good. More so after the first act, because the first act is kind of strange. I do appreciate not having to see them go into space and go through the accident, get the powers again, and explain them, learning about their powers and whatnot. We've seen it. We know it. We there's been 4 other Fantastic Four films before this. One not released technically, but yeah. We know how they get their powers. They explain it to us in like a sort of TV show, late night talk show thing where they basically explain the Fantastic Four from 4 years ago went up into space, came back with powers, and now they've protected the Earth, yada yada. So, a fun little way to just kind of explain how they got their powers and just go through their backstory. And now we're just right smack dab in the middle of them being superheroes, and it's really cool. I don't have a whole lot of critiques on this film, really. I think it's a very tight script for the most part. My only issue is just that first act. And it's not even like the introduction to the characters. It's more so when Silver Surfer is introduced in the film, because she just kind of comes out of nowhere. There's no setup to Silver Surfer, just appearing in Earth. It's just the Fantastic Four are enjoying their day, and then all of a sudden Silver Surfer pops up out of nowhere and says, yeah, Galactus is coming. And I think Silver Surfer is really cool in this film, but her introduction is just sort of just out of nowhere. And it's funny because before that, it's all lighthearted and jovial, like, oh, the baby's coming, let's prepare the house for the baby. In a fun little sort of montagey scene that's really funny, actually, with the Herbie robot, plugging in all the sockets with socket covers and setting up gates and smoke alarms and whatnot, and the rest of the house being kind of upset with it because it inconveniences them. It's just funny to see. And then all of a sudden it's, oh yeah, Silver Surfer comes and the fucking world's gonna end. So it's just kind of like a weird whiplash of tone. But after that, it's a very tight script, and it's just A, B, C, get to the point, get to the point, get to the point. Little to no downtime. And that's what I love, how tight this script feels after the first act. It's really cool. I think the cast is all great. Pedro Pascal and Vanessa Kirby as Reed Richards and Sue Storm, they're great. Pedro Pascal is just a great actor all around. He gives off the smart vibes and attitude. And when he has to be scared and, worried for the future, he totally sells that. It's just because Pedro Pascal is a great actor, and Vanessa Kirby is great too. She has a lot of great moments in this film. And the rest of the Fantastic Four, Joseph Quinn, who I don't have a whole lot of experience with in other media. I thought he was great as Johnny Storm. He gives off the fun vibe of, I just want to have fun and be a free spirit, but also he's like determined. He has a side quest in this film basically, and it's fun to see him go through that, because my knowledge of him is just that he's kind of a dick and show off and a know-it-all sort of, or he's not like the smartest of the bunch. That's kind of what I get from the other films, because like I haven't seen them really. Like I've seen a few clips here and there throughout the years, but I've never really sat down to watch them all. But that's just kind of the attitude I get from that. So it's fun to see him have like a fun journey to figure out this little side quest that he has going on, and it just kind of makes him blend in with the rest of the team more. That being like they all know what to do. They're all really really smart, and they all can, they can fly spaceships, and they really know what they're talking about when it comes to like the science stuff. And Eben Moss Bacharach, he's from The Bear. I haven't seen The Bear, but I know he's from The Bear. He's great as Ben, the Thing, in this film. And what's interesting about not having to go through the backstory of the characters in this film that we all know is that we don't get him going, oh, I'm an ugly thing and no one likes me and we're just kind of we're thrown into everyone just loving the Fantastic Four, and it's great. But I just kind of wish there was more to Ben in this film. Like the closest we get to that is like there's a shot of human Ben on a TV, and the TV turns off and it shows like Ben's the Thing face. There's another part in the film where they're talking about going back to space, and he's talking to Reed, and he goes, hey, it's not your fault. And Reed goes, no, it's my fault. I should have known. And we kind of get a hint that like, yeah, he's okay with being the Thing in that moment, but I just wish there was more to that character. There's this girl that he meets. I just wish there's more moments of him and that girl, because oh my god, I like this big rock monster thing. I think it'd just be kind of cute to see, and just to give Ben more of a character. I like Ben all throughout the film. I think it's really cool, but I just wanted to see more of him, more of him interacting with other people, more of an arc really. And that's not to say every character needs an arc, or like and that's not to say that like every character needs a strong arc. I just want a little bit more from his character. I guess it's really most of my critiques just like weird, the weird introduction of Silver Surfer in the first act, and like I just wish there was more of a bit of a character to Ben, or just more of like a personal side to Ben. Like I love Ben throughout the film. I think he's funny, has some great lines. And of course, he's just cool to look at. But I guess that's it in terms of critiques. I just love the rest of the film. It looks great. I love the aesthetics of this futuristic 60s vibe that has going on with like flying cars, or like the flying Fantastic car, the cool railways, the way there's technology in the film. And I don't even know if it's like the film takes place in the 60s. They don't say, but it has the cool 60s vibe to it with the look of the buildings and the cars, especially the Fantastic Four headquarters place with the kitchen and the living room area has like a think room, those little rooms with like a little sunken area where people sit in and whatnot, and like the TV with like, it's like that with a round TV. I just love the aesthetics of this film. Okay, it gives it an interesting and unique look. something we haven't seen in the MCU before. So yeah, I just love the look of this film, and it's just a sharp, crisp looking film all throughout with like just fantastic special effects and CGI. The only like little iffy thing with the CGI that I was like, what the fuck was that? Is like the floating baby. And it's not, and yeah, there's like weird CG baby in like the first time it's introduced after it's born, and then like characters are holding the baby, like the baby's not actually there or something. That's like really my only critiques on the CGI in this film, because everything else just looks fantastic. Galactus, he looks kick ass, and they really sell that scale of him being this like giant galactic being. The Silver Surfer in this film, Shala Bal, the CG on her looks incredible. Like the way light and images on her bends around her, and it just looks so damn cool. And I know a lot of time was put into getting that look right. And I think the Silver Surfer from the Rise of the Silver Surfer Fantastic Four movie still looks good, but this looks like really, really damn good. I think the biggest issue or the biggest concern people had with this going into this was Mr. Fantastic, was Reed Richards and his stretchy powers. I think it looks really damn good. There's not a moment that looks wonky to me, because looking back at the Mr. Fantastic of the original Fantastic Four films, that looks wonky. And understandably so, because it's old CG, and with it being bendy stuff, it looks a little weird and off. And I might have to just watch them and to see for myself how it really holds up. But from what I've seen, it just looks a little off. It's just a little weird. But here it looks really cool. And it's because he's not doing a whole lot. He's not changing his face. He's not like bending his body into weird proportions. He's just kind of stretching out his arms and legs, He's not doing a whole lot. And I guess that's something I wanted to see more of him. I just wanted to see more of Reed just kind of stretching and doing more stretchy stuff, especially in these action scenes. It just would have been kind of cool to see him sort of think about how he's going to use his powers, but I guess we'll see more of that later on down the line in Avengers Doomsday. I think the score by Michael Giacchino is great, and Michael Giacchino is just an awesome composer all around, and his work in the MCU is really, really interesting. He's done all the Spider-Man films, Doctor Strange. I really love like the theme, the little dun dun dun. I love that in the film. There's a lot of fun, tense moments in the action with it, and just like the Fantastic Four, like those moments, the dun 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 dun, like that's just really cool. I just love the way the score is incorporated, like a sort of lighthearted, hopeful, old vibey score to it, like when we get introduced to the Fantastic Four and whatnot. And like these big moments, especially when Galactus appears, it just sounds really cool. I think that's all I really want to say on the Fantastic Four. Not a whole lot outside of it just being really fun, a fun, tight script, more so after the first act. A lot of cool character arcs. Galactus was cool. Silver Surfer, Shala Bal, she's really cool. Fun action, just fun vibes. I love how all the characters come together at the end of the film, because like there are choices made in the film where like they could have done something to appease Galactus, but they didn't want to. So the whole Earth is just pissed off at the Fantastic Four for not doing what Galactus wanted. And Sue makes a speech to an angry crowd about how they have to come together and how that they have to fight for what's not like, it's not like a generic speech about fight for what's right. It's about what people can do when they come together, because they have to do this impossible task, they believe. And so yeah, like that's like the standout moment from Vanessa Kirby in this film, as she has to sort of give hope back to everyone that like, yeah, we will do this. We won't let the Earth down. She says, I'm not going to sacrifice my baby for this planet, but I'm not going to sacrifice the planet for my baby. It's just like a really interesting dilemma that they're in. Because to my knowledge, Galactus like fears Franklin, the baby, in the comics and whatnot, But in this, he says like Franklin will sort of satisfy and appease his hunger for, consuming plants or whatnot, and he'll be rid of the curse, as he says. I also like what they did with the baby in this film, Franklin. I think it's interesting with how they incorporated him in the film, as well as how he's used at the end of the film. And I like that they don't explain everything about Franklin. That's more so up to future films, but it's shown enough to show like, oh shit, like this is a fucking powerful baby. But it's not like Jack Jack from Incredibles, another film that Michael Giacchino also composed, both Incredibles actually. It's not like he's Jack Jack and like he's just shooting powers everywhere. It's sort of hidden. We don't know what it is yet, but I'm sure in the comics, I'm sure they explain it. I'm sure people know already, but like in terms of introduction to the film, you don't know, except you know that he's powerful, but he's just a baby as of now. Okay, I think that's all I really wanted to say on the Fantastic Four First Steps. Just super fun film all around. It looks great, great special effects, like pretty damn near perfect special effects, I would say. Not a whole lot wrong with it except like the baby stuff. Tight script after the first act, it's just fun all around. Great production. I love the sets. I love the 60s aesthetic vibes going on. The score's great. Fun action. Galactus was cool. And just an all-around fun time. And I'm giving the Fantastic Four First Steps an A-. The same as Superman. I can't tell if I like one better than the other. They're both going for very different things, but I think they both succeed. And just being downright fun films. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Superman and the Fantastic Four First Steps. What'd you think about these films? Have you seen them? Tell me what you thought about them in the comments below, and I'll be back with more enjoyable content like this. So yeah, bye.